Wheel World is an open-world adventure racing game where you explore, race, and customize your ride. This is the fourth game from developer Mezhoff, and I got to admit, I've never heard of any of their other games. I've been pretty impressed with this though, and not just because it comes from such a small team. This is a competent game that borrows ideas from both the open-world adventure genre and arcade races, combining them into something that's unique and fun. It came out in late July for Xbox Series, PS5, and Windows PC. I was lucky enough to be sent a review code for it, and I've been happily touring the countryside for the past couple of weeks. This is going to be a fairly brief review by my standards, but I did want to talk about the most surprising game I've played this year thus far. The story is pretty light. You play as Kat, a cyclist chosen to find mythical bike parts spread around the world to help your floating bike spirit restore his legendary bicycle. That's the floating skull thing. Being part adventure game, there's quite a lot of chatting with the various people and gangs you meet. The writing and characters are quirky, and although there isn't much of a story here, it's whimsical and entertaining enough that I looked forward to meeting each new gang and seeing where things went. Dialogue is delivered exclusively through text. There's not a huge amount of it, and if you're just here for the racing, you can whiz through these exchanges by spamming the next button. Another hallmark of the open world genre is that you'll need to ride around to discover races, challenges, locations, and new parts for your bike. The map isn't gigantic, so getting around isn't time consuming, plus there are plenty of things to do along the way. There's a fast travel system too, which does become useful later on if you don't want to cycle across the map to get to the final events. Like plenty of other racing games, you're awarded points for doing things like jumps, close calls with cars, and slipstreaming opponents. This fills a meter which can be spent on boost. Boost can also be filled using these chain arch thingos, which you'll find around the world. Some events are gate-kept by the number of upgrades you've unlocked or by your rep level, which is how experience is tracked. Both of these can be earned by competing in races. You'll also need to activate these bells, which operate like the viewpoints in Assassin's Creed. These reveal areas of interest on the map as well as upgrading your boost meter. Upgrading your bike isn't simply about unlocking better parts and equipping them. Quite often there's some kind of performance trade-off to consider, and some parts come with perks that enhance specific abilities. I think this is, forgive the pun, one of the strongest components of the experience. In a lot of other racing games, you simply unlock better stuff, making your existing inventory redundant. Here, you need to consider various things like grip, power, and handling, and you'll need to experiment with different combinations to find what suits you. Changing parts does have a noticeable impact on how your bike feels to control, and I think both the cadence of unlocking parts and the number of items is well balanced. I never felt overwhelmed with options or like I was forced to go searching for parts because my bike wasn't competitive. I like how parts look completely different, and I must admit that I was often torn with keeping certain things equipped simply for aesthetic reasons. Now, I didn't enjoy the second half as much as the first. I don't think the art direction is anywhere near as strong, and the races are definitely more annoying. They're harder for sure, but not necessarily because your competitors are faster. They're just more aggressive, and the courses contain more obstacles for you to run into. Races become less about finding the fastest way around each course, and that's what I really enjoyed about the racing in the first half. I wouldn't call this a hard game, although there's just enough challenge to keep it interesting, and there are leaderboards that show off how fast you are compared to your friends. Races contain a number of sub-challenges too that award you with rep for things like getting the best time or finding letters, so there's incentive to retry events and complete everything. Overall, while Wheel World is a racing game at its core, the open world approach is relaxed, and you can just cruise around and take it in at your own pace. It kind of feels like a chill hipster version of Need for Speed, where instead of tuned performance cars, you've got fixies and cycling caps. This definitely has a Jet Set Radio-ness to the presentation and game design, if Jet Set Radio was set somewhere in the Mediterranean. And I say this not simply because it's cel-shaded. The character design, dialogue, and how you discover events all feel like they've been heavily influenced. I normally don't like this kind of visual aesthetic. To me, it feels like the standard overused look for indie games, but it's kinda hard not to have a permanent grin while playing it. Is it original? Fuck no, but that's okay. It doesn't feel derivative or half-assed. Tramonto is a pleasant place to ride around with interesting characters to meet and beautiful vistas to discover. Again, the second half is much more drab. It just doesn't give me the same vibes as the first island, and everything looks very similar. The music though is spot on, incredibly laid back synthwave that's easy to listen to, and when cycling around Tremonto, it delivers that summertime feeling. Unfortunately, the presentation is undermined by some clunky performance. I feel bad for raising this, knowing that it was created by such a tiny team, but this is a racing game and performance does matter. I played on Series X and the frame rate is quite inconsistent and choppy. I'm not sure if this is actually a frame rate issue or something else. There's also a lot of pop-in. You'll see grass and other roadside elements suddenly sprout out of the ground as you cycle by. After doing a bit of research, it seems that both of these issues are common across all platforms. Hopefully they're just an optimization thing that can be improved over time. While pretty distracting at times, I don't think this is necessarily a deal breaker, although I probably would feel differently if I'd paid for it, and your mileage may vary. In spite of the performance issues, I still recommend this. It's a low commitment game with a chill vibe. If you blitz through it, it'll only take 5 to 6 hours to complete, but 100%ing every event and finding every part would be at least a couple hours more. This isn't designed to blitz through though. There's plenty of shit to discover, and crafting the perfect ride is an addictive process that will make you want to seek out every part. There's even manual gears if that sounds like something you want to learn. Sadly, there's no multiplayer. I reckon that could be heaps of fun, although you do have global and friend leaderboards to climb. Hopefully performance can be improved, but if that's a non-negotiable for you, I'd hold off for now. Otherwise, this is a fun time.